Hi. Today, 2nd of April, it is my son Thomas who is living with autism. It is his 13th birthday. It is also Autism Awareness Day and Autism Awareness Month. So I thought I'd do a little video about awareness. Thomas was born 13 years ago. Beautiful big baby boy, came into the world, 10 fingers, 10 toes, perfect, we did it. Ticked all the boxes, it's all good. Take this beautiful big boy home. And did all the normal milestones. You tick all those off. He was big and growing, gurgling, started talking. And then it was at about 2 that we started to notice that he was a little bit different. What is this obsession with Thomas the Tank Engine, and why is he turning his cars upside down and playing with the wheels and not using them as cars? And why is he flicking on off and on light switches? And he's so interested in looking past your face outside the window at the trees, and all things that really can still be quite normal. And I'd had one son already, so I'd seen, children do different things. So it was like, well, that's pretty normal. But then other people start to notice things and say things, and you start to wonder, and autism gets mentioned. And the reason it gets mentioned is because early intervention is so important, and that's one of the awareness things, that early intervention is so important with autism. But you don't want to think that that it's your child. You just don't want to think that journey. You bought into the normal journey, the normal spectrum. That's what you bought into. And then it gets a little hard to ignore because he's not learning any more words. And so we start speech therapy and still avoiding any sort of label. But you start Googling and looking at all of the signs of autism and realising that, yeah, he has a lot of those. But couldn't every kid? I mean, really, he's just a little boy. He's just a baby. I mean, really, we can't label him with anything. And then finally we get to school, and you also notice that he's throwing these meltdowns that are quite different to the tantrums that my other son threw, and you couldn't work out why, and it was hard to get him back out of them. And then we get to school, and the teachers say, we think you need to have Thomas assessed. And so we go to the paediatrician, and they do the assessment, and the assessment comes back up that Thomas lives with autism. Now, you'll notice that that's a real important distinction for me, that I say lives with autism, and I do my Loving with Autism updates, because first and foremost, Thomas is a little boy, or a big boy now, and he lives with autism. I'm Julie, and I'm a big girl, and I live with drinking too much wine on occasion. So we all live with something. So I just didn't want the label to define who he was. Who he is Thomas, with autism along for the ride. And that's really important as the first thing. And the other thing is that you don't come out of the doctor's office, and I don't know if we still do it today, but certainly back then you didn't come out of the doctor's office and go, oh my God, this is so fantastic. Thomas lives with autism. He could be the next Nobel Prize winner, I've heard. Some of them have really achieved big things. No, you come out and you're devastated, and that's the reality of it, because it wasn't what you expected, and you're suddenly being launched into the unknown of what does this mean? Is he going to learn to talk? And you start getting flashes of Rain Man, and what does autism really mean? And it's such a spectrum, so it's so varied that we don't really know what it means. Like we don't for any child, really. But this just throws you into a whole unknown territory. And so you come home and you're vulnerable and you're scared and you're sad and you cry a lot and you drink a lot of wine and you just don't know how you're going to do this, and you start Googling until you just go crazy, Googling and buying products that are going to do this and this and this and help with this, and start therapies, and you start the big journey. And of course we also had grief thrown in, as well as my husband having a stroke and then passing away. So that was all huge, and walls are being kicked in, windows are being broken, you're feeling like a bad mother. You're going to bed at night saying, why can't I get a grip of this? What am I doing wrong? You start all the visuals, you start to order more things on the internet, you do more therapy, you try and fit that in. You're wrapping him in blankets to stop him running around hurting himself, and you're going, what the hell just happened? What's happened to my life? And so all that it's a big journey. And keeping them safe even. Thomas disappeared. As soon as he could walk, he would just start disappearing. And you think, well, how hard is it to keep him in the house? I don't know. I was doing my best, but I'm telling you, next thing he'd end up in the park, and the man found him and took him to the police station. And then another time he ended up nearly on a main road where these major big trucks were going through. He nearly drowned going out in rips, and that's how he learned how to stay safe in the water. He nearly got run over by a car. No amount of me going down at the end of the street with Velcro signs and doing signs about stopping. And no, the way he learned how to cross the road was to almost get run over, and then he learned how to cross the road. He has had 2 broken arms because he didn't learn to use his brakes on his bike. Clearly, I don't wrap my boys in cotton wool. And so he would be going over riverbanks into the water and into mud because he just wouldn't stop, and I'd be running after him or riding my bike after him trying to get him to stop. stop. And then finally he learned how to use his brakes. And so 2 broken arms, one straight after the other. And so it's such an adventure from that point of view. They're climbers. They climb up on everything. And it's just amazing how this is in them all, that they don't... that keeping them safe thing is they've got this adventure in them and no fear, like to the point of ridiculousness when they're little. And so even that just takes you on such a journey. And you're just trying to learn how are they going to talk or not, and you start to get caught up in worrying about their future and realising you've got to bring yourself back to the moment. And so it most definitely is a big journey. It's not an easy journey. It's not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure, but you don't also get to choose. Somebody said to me once, Julie, I don't know how you do it. How do I not do it? How do I not do it? And I have wondered sometimes why I've got chosen to do this and not really sure that I was the best person to choose. But I have been chosen, and so he's taken me on such a journey and taught me so much about myself and taken me to places inside of myself that, to be honest with you, I'm not sure that I wanted to go. But I've been, and I've grown, and I don't know who I'd be today without autism in my life either. He's shown me how to live in the moment. We'd go on these bike rides. I thought they were just a bike ride, but of course they were a journey. And so this bike ride that should have taken 20 minutes would sometimes take 2 hours, because we'd have to be in the moment and enjoy what's around us. And he knows how to do that. He's not on any schedule. He really is marching to the beat of his own drum, which is what I try and teach everybody else to do. And he's naturally do it. He expresses himself the way he feels today, very loudly, and often with swear words, without any thought about what you think about that. And he will tell you what he wants without any thought of what you think about that, and with a positive expectation that that will happen in his life. So there's some things to envy about the way he sees the world, that's for sure, because he certainly sees the world different. And one thing you know for sure is that Thomas, if he tells you he loves you, he's feeling it here. It's not coming from, well, I'm supposed to say that and that's what I should say. If he hugs you, oh my gosh, you know for sure that he is really feeling something in here, because he won't hug you just because it's the social nice thing to do or because he was told to do that. He's genuine, he's real, he's honest. And I've also learnt that I'm a poo head and a hippie freak a fair amount of the time. And I've learned how to put my ego aside and all about unconditional love, because I know with all of that he loves me unconditionally and I love him unconditionally. So it most certainly is a journey. There is no doubt about that. It is a big journey, and the awareness is that that's why these parents who are on this journey, bringing these unique individuals up in our society, need some support sometimes. They need some respite. I mean, it takes a community to raise a child, all children, we know that, and it certainly takes a community to be aware and to help raise a child living with autism, because autism is in our streets, it's in our churches, it's in our schools, it's next door. I mean, autism is everywhere, we know that too. And they are valuable contributing members to our society, and I know Thomas will grow up and be an amazing young man and have lots to contribute and be very independent and all those sorts of things. In fact, he'll be more independent early than I think most children his age, just because of the nature of the way he is. So I hope that I share not just the challenges but also the joys of this journey of autism, because it is a journey of both. There are highs and lows, there's laughter, there's tears, and it most certainly is a big journey. And so I hope that one day maybe you're at a set of traffic lights and this man starts talking to himself about the traffic lights, and your first impression will be, well, that's odd. And there's nothing wrong, people go on about judgments. Look, honestly, it is odd. The way that we've been brought up, that looks odd. That's why we all don't do that out loud in public, because apparently it looks odd. And so that normal thing. And so you may think, wow, that's odd, but then I hope the next thought may be, well, I wonder if this gentleman lives with autism, and maybe if I listen in, I could really see something different in these traffic lights and take a little moment. Because, we all see the world differently, and Thomas certainly has shown me a different way of looking at the world. So such is the journey of living with autism. I look forward to sharing the teenage years with you.